Welcome to Lights Camera Author. I'm your host, Jim Juno, and this is a show where we talk with writers who bring Hollywood history to life. Today, we're taking a long, unflinching look at one of the most iconic figures in American cinema, Clint Eastwood. From squinting gunslinger to Oscar winning director, his career has spanned 6 decades and shaped the way we think about manhood, morality, and movie stardom. My guest is the acclaimed film critic and New York Times bestselling author, Shawn Levy, and he has a powerful new book that peels back the myth and reveals the man. It's called Clint, the Man and the Movies. A sharp, insightful portrait of a living legend who, at age 95, still casts a long shadow across the American culture. Shawn, welcome to Lights Camera Author.
Thanks so much.
So you decided, after tackling Paul Newman, you decided to tackle Clint Eastwood.
Yeah,
What? Yeah.
I thought they made a nice balance. Lefty, righty, East Coast, West Coast, method actor, sort of personality actor. But there was another Clint Eastwood book in the pipeline at the time. So that this was 15 years ago, and I've written several books since then, five or six books since then, and Clint's still chugging along. In the time since I abandoned the idea to the time I sort of resurrected it, he did the Mitt Romney convention. He directed his highest grossing film of all time, American Sniper. He's continued to be Clint Eastwood, the independent sort of outlaw movie making loner from Central California. So it was ripe once again to consider him.
It is amazing. I mean, he has become, and I use this term not for a lot of people, but he has become an American institution.
Yeah, I mean, he's actually 70 years in front of the camera. The first five or six were dodgy, and more than 50 years behind the camera, of course, directing himself several times. But either of those careers would make you a singular figure in American culture. Nobody has ever done both.
No, and I am amazed. I mean, yeah, I remember his first movie. I saw it on, I guess so many people did, on Mystery Science Theater 3000. It was called Revenge of the Creature, and this, I mean, okay, he looks like Clint Eastwood, but
He always looked like himself, which is one of the ways you become a star. You know,
but
it's
it was it's like he was pulling rats out of his pocket. I'm like, what was going on there?
Yeah, the first or 6 years of his career, he had terrible, tiny walk-on bits in terrible, tiny TV shows and movies, and he was ready to quit the business. He had a resume of about 12 or 20 credits and 6 years, and then he got a part on a primetime TV Western, Rawhide, and he
Mhm.
appeared in 217 hour-long episodes.
See,
And if you take all his movies combined, I don't know if they add up to 217 hours.
no, and a lot of people nowadays don't even realize that he got his start in television. Well, I don't want to say start, but that's what really broke him into the big time was
Yeah.
Rawhide.
I mean, it might as well be his start because at the time he got the part, he was literally digging swimming pools with a shovel. He was a manual laborer and he was ready to quit the business. He was raised to work and he wasn't working in Hollywood, so he was prepared to leave. And then he suddenly became a teen idol, TV star, and parlayed that into the strangest twist, making westerns in Italy.
In Italy, yes, I know
Italian
it. I mean,
screen, yeah.
and the amazing thing when I was doing some research into your book, the people who turned down, no, we're talking about this what they call spaghetti westerns, which is Sergio Leone. Is it Leone or Leone?
Leone.
Leone, okay. Sergio Leone. And he was Clint Eastwood. I can see nobody else in that role. But I think Clint Eastwood was like the sixth or seventh person they approached.
Yeah, that's right. He got $15,000 flat. He arrived on a set that had no dressing rooms, no hotels at the locations, no porta potties. He had his own wardrobe that he brought over from California. He was the only English speaker on the set, and they released the film under a different title with the director using a pseudonym. He didn't even know about it for a year after he made it. It was a tiny little thing, and it absolutely revolutionized world cinema, Italian cinema, the Western, and of course the careers of Clint Eastwood and Sergio Leone.
And in reading your book, I mean, he was squinting through the cigarello smoke. Um, First off, he didn't smoke, for
No,
one thing.
he's a health nut, lifelong health
Yes.
nut.
So he was chomping on this cigarette or cigarella, whatever you want to call it, and he's squinting. And I think it was in your book that you said at least he thought, well, nobody's going to see this in my town.
Yeah, he figured it was a paid vacation to Europe. It was a chance to do something other than more television episodes. And worst comes to worst, this thing, who in America would ever want to see an Italian Western? And as I say, he didn't see the film for more than a year until they came to him to offer him a chance to be in the sequel. And he said, "Can I see the first one?" And we're talking about a fistful of dollars,
Yes.
masterpiece of genre cinema. And then they made for a few dollars more, and then they made The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, all, by the way, within about 26 months.
Right. And a lot of people don't realize Good, the Bad, and the Ugly is actually a prequel before they made they that was before, or I mean, yes, it was filmed after the first two, but it was set before A
Yeah,
Fistful of Dollars.
historically, it's set during the Civil War, and it has battle sequences. The first one was made so cheap. There were action sequences, but they were short and they only involved three or five people. And by the time Leone, these were worldwide smash hits. They were in competition with the James Bond movies at the global box office, the
Mhm.
Sean Connery James Bond movies. So by the time they made the third one, Leone had 20 times the budget and triple the schedule as he had on the first film.
Now, Clint Eastwood's agent at the time, when he was in, I believe, well, he had a contract with Rawhide that says he couldn't make movies in America, but he could make movies in Europe during his off time. Correct me if I'm wrong on that.
No, that's true. That's part of the reason he was so anxious to do work that he finally took anything that he could do.
Mhm. And his agent told him, "Don't take it." Correct? Had no faith in
And no one had any faith in it, but they said,
it.
it can't hurt you because if it was garbage, it would remain in Europe. So I think his agent said if you want to do it, do it. The money's not bad. 3 weeks work, 15 grand. We're talking 1964. That's pretty good. You
Yeah.
could buy starter home for that price.
Yeah, that's about 8,000. Was it? I'm sorry. 15,064. That would probably be roughly about a maybe 75,000.
Oh, I'd say 150.
150. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not an economic major. What did he think about the those movies getting big? I mean, what was his opinion of them?
I mean, he was a guy who stepped on what could have been a landmine and it wound up being a rocket ship.
Yeah.
He was impressed by the economy of the filmmaking in terms of number of takes they would do, that Leone knew what he wanted when he came to the set each morning, even if it was unusual. And Leone's films are very stylistic and sort of unique anywhere on Earth, let alone in Westerns, which had become so routine over the years in America. So Clint was excited about those things. And I think I don't think I know this. He was raised to always have a job. And he didn't know how long he could work in front of the camera. So
Hmm.
seeing how he could produce movies for cheap and maybe learning how to direct them by observing directors on Rawhide and observing Sergio Leone, he was giving himself other possibilities to remain with a Hollywood career once people got tired of seeing him on screen. That was his calculation. So the whole experience was great for him. He tasted a range of filmmakers and filmmaking, and his profile went up from second banana on a fading TV show to action movie star in 1 year's time.
And his favorite movie when he was growing up, um, was it a John Ford film? Did I have that right?
Well, he
Oh no,
named
William Wellman film.
he liked Wellman, Ford, Howard Hawks. He often names Red River.
Hmm.
Wellman, he names the Oxbow incident.
That's what
He,
I'm thinking of. Yeah.
he's a guy who was born in 1930. Classic, streamlined Hollywood storytelling done efficiently. That's his métier. That's the thing he does uniquely for today and better than almost anyone.
It is to this day he does that. At age 95. I mean, it's amazing. And fortunately, everybody, he's still with us. I don't know what kind of rumors you hear on the internet, but he still is with us. He's still producing, which is amazing at his age. I mean, I just hope to be breathing at 95.
Yeah,
And
he released a movie last year that he directed and produced, Juror Number Two, and it's a good little courtroom thriller. It gives the sort of 12 Angry Men vibes. It's quite accomplished, and it's made by a Hollywood studio, directed and produced by a 94-year-old artist. Remarkable.
was that Malpazzo Studios who did that?
Malpaso is his production company, but Warner
Hmm.
Brothers funds and distributes Malpaso's films.
I see. Okay.
They have a 50-year relationship, and it's on the basis of a handshake.
And he must enjoy it. He must love it. And what is your favorite Clint Eastwood movie?
Well, I always have to set aside Unforgiven, which is a
Right.
masterpiece, a capstone achievement of the American Western, of the Hollywood studio, production line. Great, great, great movie. I'm very fond of a couple of deeper cuts. One called A Perfect World, which was the first film he directed
Mm.
after Unforgiven with Kevin Costner. And it's a sort of chase movie. Clint is a Texas lawman, and Costner is an escaped convict set in 1963. I'm fond of a even lesser known movie called White Hunter Black Heart, in which
Yeah.
Clint plays effectively John Huston gone to Africa to direct Humphrey Bogart and Katharine Hepburn in The African Queen, but more interested in going on safari and bagging an elephant. And it's another one of those movies about Clint's where an obsessive person, a person who has a violent streak in him, has to pay a price for those qualities. And that's an ongoing theme in his work.
I remember seeing Play Misty for Me, which was the first movie that he directed, and it surprised a lot of people, didn't it?
Yeah, 1971, he had made big movies with Sergio Leone, and he had been in a couple of big and small movies in Hollywood, and some of them were quite successful, but he wasn't an insider, and he directed his first film. He directed it on location in Carmel. It's a thriller in which he plays kind of the heel. He's a disc jockey who sleeps around, and one of his
Mhm.
paramours becomes homicidally obsessed with him, played wonderfully by Jessica Walter. And it's
Yes.
a great little movie and a great first film by, within Hollywood. It stands with most of the great first films. And again, it was an avenue for him to have a second career should the acting thing dry up.
You mentioned that in that movie. He is a paramour. He sleeps around. Well, let's face it. Clint Eastwood is not a saint. We're not saying that, and he doesn't come off that way in your book. I mean, it's a. I mean, yes, it's a loving look at the man in his career, but what does he have 8 children from 6 women,
That's
something
correct.
like.
He, just as he's an independent as a filmmaker, he's an independent in his personal life.
Yeah.
He demanded certain freedoms. He has been in at least four nearly decades long relationships,
Hmm.
and he's he's broken some hearts. He's a tough nut to crack. He's emotionally reserved, but he's a good dad. These eight
Yeah.
children are all around him, and his grandchildren and now great grandchildren. The role of paterfamilias comes easily to him, and he takes it seriously. And if the role of partner wasn't didn't suit him as well, he still has relationships with several of the mothers of his children.
I don't think anybody living has more quotable lines than Clint Eastwood. Um, so what is your favorite Clint Eastwood line?
Boy, um, my favorite line in any Clint Eastwood movie is not said by Clint Eastwood. It's in Million Dollar Baby. He's always reading a book of Gaelic poetry. And they're in the ER. Hilary Swank has had her nose broken. Morgan Freeman is sitting in between her and Clint. And Hilary Swank, with her head back, says, "What you reading there, boss?" And he says, "Yeats."
Yeah.
And then Morgan Freeman says, "Why don't you talk some Yeats to her so she can see what a pleasure that is?" I love Yeats. And to me, that is the funniest line said in any Clint Eastwood movie.
Well, a lot of people will say, well, make my day,
Make my
or I
day.
know
You
what you're
feeling
thinking.
lucky?
Yeah, do you feel lucky? My favorite, I'm gonna have to say this is like from the very first, the opening scene. No, not the opening scene, but from A Fistful of Dollars, where he walks by the old man, get three coffins ready, and then he shoots four people. And he goes, "My mistake, four coffins." For some reason, that just sticks with me. So
No, it's
and
it's it's great. It's emblematic, and it tells us everything about the guy. He's polite, but he'll kill.
yeah, exactly. And so let me ask you, when did he basically enter into the Parthenon of of the greats? I mean, I think of John Wayne, I think of Henry Fonda, I think of Clint Eastwood, and those are some heady names to be associated with.
The film that really cements him is Dirty Harry. The Man with No Name was a character, it was kind of fluky, and for a few years he was a running joke. Oh, he doesn't know how to act, he doesn't know how to move, he just stands there and squints, he doesn't talk, he's in these crazy violent movies, blah blah blah. Fair enough. Then he creates Harry Callahan, a similarly iconic character to The Man with No Name. Box office sensation, and it's showing him in modern dress dealing with contemporary issues of law and order and policing and justice. And whether you agree with the politics or the film or not, you can't not see it. It's a milestone movie culturally in the history of Hollywood and in his career. And after that, he's kind of in the club.
Hmm.
He was in the Quigley box office poll, which used to be a poll of movie theater owners for the top 10 box office stars, male and female, every year. Clint had more years at number one than anyone ever, and only John Wayne appeared in the top 10 more times than Clint. So, yeah, we're talking about Mount Rushmore level star.
It's amazing, and you think that this is a guy who was born during the Great Depression, and there's not that many. I don't think there's that many actors still around from that who grew up in that era.
Yeah, I can think of Mel Brooks, Woody Allen,
No,
handful, Dick Van Dyke, a
yeah.
handful. And 90, there are fewer 96-year-olds than there are 95-year-olds. And God
I
bless them all.
was gonna say we're gonna cross our fingers and stuff. I want to
Yeah,
want to make
yeah.
it to 96. So
I want to see Clint make another movie. I can't
yeah,
wait to
I mean,
see, what he makes when he approaches 100.
that would be interesting. I mean, and did he cooperate with this book at all?
No. He gave a book-length interview to a biographer back in 1995. That's even before Mystic River and Million Dollar Baby.
30
And
years ago. Yeah.
yeah, and he's given many interviews over the years. I don't think he has any interest in sitting down and telling his whole story again.
Mm.
And in a way, that's kind of liberating because when you have the cooperation of your subject, you might lean a little in their favor when
Yeah.
interpreting events. And I just want to have a clear eye. I always joke, people write books about Lincoln every year and never get to talk to the guy, and they can write great books.
I tell you what, I got a feeling that 150 years from now, we'll still be talking about Clint Eastwood.
I believe so. And I think he's made some great, great films, quite a number of them. But I also think he sort of emblemizes a number of things about the Hollywood business, the American character, the 20th century, our attitudes toward empathy, violence, redemption. He's an interesting character, it, which is why he's easy to write. I mean, it's not an easy thing to write a book, but he's an easy subject to write a book about because there are so many places you can grab onto and sort of climb.
I won't say he got in trouble, but he got some he got political for a while. I guess still is. Which is, again, there's nothing wrong with being political. He gave that speech during the was it
2012.
2012 with him in the empty chair, which everybody remembers, but nobody remembers what he said,
It's a
which was
funny
funny.
thing. In 2012, I happened to vote Democratic. He happens to vote Republican. And I was incensed how disrespectful, how random, how weird, and making a mockery of the president. And I watched it with fresh eyes to write this book. And it's really tame, as
Mm.
dogma or as campaign rhetoric. He speaks more times about Barack Obama in the opening 10 minutes of the speech than he does about Mitt Romney. And he even
Yeah.
gives Obama credit for some of his policies. And on the night, Fox News and other conservative outlets actually chewed over the ideas like, could Clint Eastwood be a Democrat here to sandbag Mitt Romney? But that's not what I remembered. I remembered it like with my hair on fire and, people
Mhm.
mocking him. And it is a crazy speech, but they never briefed him. The campaign put him on primetime TV without saying, by the way, what are you going to say?
Yeah. You think he would answer him if they did
Yeah,
ask him?
he works in a business that's cooperative. He is the boss of bosses, but he listens to the input of his cameraman and editor, and he would have cooperated somewhat.
Yeah. That brings to an interesting point. When you're around as long as he has been, and we're talking like, I guess, from 1950, is it 1959 is when Rawhide came on?
Hmm.
Uh, and so that's 60, wow, 66 years ago. World changes around Clint Eastwood, but Clint Eastwood does not seem to change, and he's not apologetic about it. It's like, this is who I am, and this is who I've always been, and this is who I'm always going to be. If you like it, fine. If you don't, so what?
He makes a lot of different kinds of movies. Okay, we're thinking of Clint Eastwood. This is the man who directed The Bridges of Madison County,
Yeah.
Sully, about the forced air landing in the Hudson River, Jersey Boys.
Yeah.
He appeared in outright comedies. I don't care for them, but those movies with the orangutan in the early 80s were massive hits. He's
There-
actually done quite a number of things. And I think the interesting thing about him is he is sort of always who he is, but the culture has changed so many times that who he is looks different to us at different times.
yes.
When I was in college in the 70s, you would walk into a dorm room and you would see a poster of the man with no name next to a poster of Jimi Hendrix. He was
Yeah.
a countercultural figure. Dirty Harry, far right. Richard Nixon's favorite movie the year it came out. He's meant different things to different people at different times, and yet he's always been exactly that guy.
I read something. I believe it was on the Internet Movie Database. They approached John Wayne for Dirty Harry, and John Wayne turned it down. Is that?
I'm not sure Wayne was in the mix. Frank Sinatra was, Paul Newman,
Hmm.
Robert Mitchum, Jack Lemmon. Sinatra was ready to make the movie, and then he had injured himself and had surgery on his hand.
Ah,
But the other people, either the money was no good or the timing, or in the case of Paul Newman and Jack Lemmon, they didn't care for the politics of the character, and they would only do it if there were a significant rewrite.
so his two
Yes,
let's yeah his two biggest movie characters, The Man with No Name and Harry and Dirty Harry, he was not the lead choice for either one of those two movies or either one of those two characters. Then, correct?
that's right. And as I say, Dirty Harry is what finally put him across the line where he was
Yeah.
getting the first crack. But prior to that film's success, every script he ever received had someone else's fingerprints on it.
My gosh, that's I don't think people remember that or know realize that nowadays. And you know, t goes from TV to movies to I guess movies again. After The Man with No Name, he bummed around again, didn't he?
He was working pretty steadily. He makes those pictures in summer breaks of Rawhide, and
Ah,
as soon as he gets back to the States, he starts producing under his own banner and hiring himself out for films like Where Eagles Dare and Kelly's Heroes and Paint
oh
Your Own
yes, the
Hue.
war movies. Yes, I
So
almost forgot about those. Yeah.
they're not great. They're best remembered as Saturday afternoon on the TV when you're a kid fare.
That is true. Well, the author's name is Shawn Levy, and the book is Clint, the Man and the Movies. And it's out now, and you can get it on Amazon, barnesandnoble.com, Books a Million. Go into your bookstore, local bookstore. If they don't have it, order it. It's on the bestseller list too, isn't it?
I don't know that, but it could
Ah.
be. It could be. I've been doing this a long time, and I stop. It's the watch pot never boils philosophy. If I don't know, I can't be wrong.
It was on the Amazon bestseller list. I saw
There we
that.
go. I'll take it. I'll take it. Great.
Well, Sean, again, thank you. We're talking about Clint Eastwood with Shawn Levy. And Sean, I want to thank you again for being on Lights Camera Author tonight.
Thanks so much, Jim.